Welcome to another episode of the Retirepreneur Podcast. I'm your host with this week's executive summary for busy entrepreneurs building their second act business. Today's episode is designed for maximum impact in minimum time.
It's great to be back. And today, we are tackling a pain point that I think keeps a lot of our listeners up at night.
Oh, I know this one.
It's that agonizing silence right after you hit send on a proposal.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to set the scene for everyone listening because if you're launching a second act business, you've been here.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost a rite of passage, but a painful one. Picture this. You're a professional with, let's say, 30 years of high-level experience. You know your field inside and out. You finally get a lead on a great consulting gig, maybe through a former colleague, a networking event. You sit down, you crack your knuckles, and you write a masterpiece.
The magnum opus.
Yeah.
The document that proves you know everything there is to know.
Right. You submit a comprehensive 15-page proposal. It's got case studies. It's got detailed methodologies, flowcharts.
Testimonials.
An appendix.
Everything.
Huh?
It is thorough. It is professional. And then crickets. You get ghosted. Meanwhile, a competitor who maybe has half your experience sends over a one-pager and closes the deal before you even follow up.
It's the most frustrating feeling in the world. But it highlights the core truth we're deep diving into today. The best proposals aren't the longest.
They're the clearest.
They are the clearest. So today we're unpacking the one-page consulting proposal, and specifically how this strategy is tailored for the 55-plus professional. Because, as we'll see, the rules are a little different when you're selling high-level expertise, not commodity labor.
Exactly. You aren't trying to prove you can do the work. You're trying to prove you understand the problem.
Right.
And we aren't talking about cutting corners here. We're talking about strategic brevity. We've pulled together insights from psychology, sales, legal structuring to cover three main areas.
Okay.
First, we have to look at the psychology of why brevity wins and, the mobile reality that most people just ignore.
Then we're going to break down this strict four-section framework. Because if you're only writing one page, every sentence has to fight for its life.
It does. We need to know exactly what stays and what goes.
And fight.
And finally, we'll discuss the shield and the close.
Yeah.
This is the part I'm most excited about. How do you protect your scope and handle the legal stuff without killing the momentum of the sale?
Okay, let's jump into insight number one, the psychology. Because my gut instinct, and I think the instinct of a lot of retirepreneurs, is that more is better. If I write more, I'm showing I know more, right? If I charge a high fee, I need to justify it with the thud factor of a heavy document. Why is that wrong?
It feels intuitive, I know,
Mm-hmm.
especially coming from a corporate background where long reports equal diligence, but it backfires because of who you're selling to.
Okay.
If you're a senior professional, you are likely pitching to the C-suite or other senior executives. These are your peers. And what is the one thing they all suffer from?
Too many emails, too many meetings.
Decision fatigue. They are just drowning in choices. There's some research from the journal Psychology and Marketing that's absolutely fascinating.
Go on.
It shows that when decision makers are facing a high cognitive load, which is basically every CEO every day, they choose the simplest option 3 times more often than the complex one.
3 times more often. Wow. That's a massive margin.
It's huge.
So simplicity isn't just a stylistic choice. It's a conversion strategy.
It absolutely is. By sending that 15-page PDF, you aren't proving your value. You're actually creating cognitive friction. You're giving them homework. And let's be honest,
Nobody likes homework.
nobody likes homework.
That's a great way to put it. It reminds me of that famous JAM study. Was it Iyengar and Lepper?
That's the one. It's foundational to understanding this paradox of choice.
Yeah.
They set up a display in a high-end grocery store with 24 different varieties of gourmet jam.
Right. They let people taste them, look at the labels.
And then on a different day, they set up a display with only 6 jams.
And logically, you'd assume the table with 24 jams sold more because, well, people love variety. We want options.
You'd think so. But the data showed the exact opposite. The table with 6 jams sold significantly more.
How much more?
Something like 10 times more in actual purchase conversion. When consumers saw 24 options, they froze. They couldn't choose, so they chose nothing.
So translate that to consulting. A 15-page proposal offers too many variables to critique.
Exactly. They look at page 4 and say, I'm not sure about this methodology, or
Let me ask my VP about this case study on page 9. It gives them 24 different reasons to delay the decision.
precisely. whereas a one-pager presents a simple binary choice. Do you want this solution, yes or no? It forces a decision rather than inviting a critique.
You're just removing the mental clutter so they can focus on the outcome. There's another factor here that I hadn't really considered until I looked into this, the device itself.
The mobile reality. This is critical. I mean, think about your own habits. When do you check your email?
Honestly, in line for coffee, walking the dog, in the elevator between meetings.
And where are you looking?
Usually on my phone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
More than half of all B2B emails are opened on mobile devices. Now imagine you're a CEO. You check your phone while waiting for an Uber. You see an email from a consultant.
Okay.
You open it, and it's a 15-page PDF. Tiny font, complex Gantt charts, dense text. You try to pinch and zoom to read it. What happens next?
I close it immediately. I tell myself, I'll read this later when I'm at my big monitor.
And later never comes.
Never. It gets buried under 50 new emails.
That is where the ghosting happens.
Yeah.
It's not a rejection of your expertise, it's a rejection of the format. A one-page proposal is legible on a phone. They can read it, get it, and hit reply before they even get into the Uber.
So we're optimizing for the client's state of mind, which is exhausted, and their logistics, which are mobile.
Yes.
That makes sense. But now the executional. How do you actually fit 30 years of value and a complex project onto one sheet of paper? This feels like trying to fit an elephant into a suitcase.
It does.
Let's move to Insight 2, the framework.
This is where the discipline comes in. And honestly, this is harder than writing 15 pages. You know, as Mark Twain or maybe Pascal said, I would have written a shorter letter, but I didn't have the time.
Right.
The framework has to be rigid. You need exactly 4 sections, not 5, not 4 plus a bio, just 4.
All right, walk us through it. Section 1.
Section 1 is the problem you're solving. And here is the trap, and I see almost every new consultant fall right into it.
Okay.
Do not start with your credentials.
But wait, if I don't tell them who I am, how do they know I can do the job? I'm proud of my background.
They know you're qualified. Otherwise, they wouldn't have asked for a proposal. You've already done the networking. At this stage, the proposal isn't about you. It's about them. It's about their pain.
Can you give us a bad versus good example?
Yeah.
Because I feel like stating the problem can easily turn into, generic corporate speak.
Sure. A bad example, and this is very common, starts with something like, we provide strategic financial consulting services to optimize operational efficiency.
Okay, I'm asleep already. It sounds like every LinkedIn profile ever written. It's filler.
It is. It's robot speak. A good example, specifically for a client you've actually listened to, would be your current monthly cash flow swings make it impossible to predict hiring needs. This instability is stalling your Q4 expansion plans.
Oh, that is much better.
And then you add, we will create a predictive model to stabilize cash flow visibility.
It's specific. It proves you were listening. It uses the word you, not I or we.
It hooks them immediately because it's about the thing that is waking them up at 2 a.m. It validates that you get their headache.
Okay, so we've hooked them with the pain. Section 2.
Section 2 is approach and deliverable. This is the what? What exactly are they getting? And you need to be concrete. A 3-month cash flow analysis. 1 90-minute presentation.
No fluff. No, we will ideate on solutions.
No fluff. But here is the secret weapon of Section 2, and this is something very few people do. The negative scope.
The negative scope, that sounds counterintuitive. What does that mean?
It means you explicitly state what is not included. For example, this engagement does not include software implementation, legal filing fees, or ongoing monthly monitoring.
That feels risky. Doesn't that make me look inflexible? Or like I'm trying to do the bare minimum?
Quite the opposite. It makes you look like a pro. It prevents disputes later. We all know the scope creep is the enemy.
Oh, yeah.
Where the client says, oh, can you just take a look at this other thing while you're here?
Right.
By listing what isn't included, you're setting boundaries before the clock starts ticking. It actually builds trust. It shows you aren't trying to trick them.
That's a great point. It frames you as a peer who values their time and yours. Okay, Section 3, the scary part, money.
Investment and timeline. Again, clarity is king. Total fee or flat rate, no ambiguity.
And what about deposits? I know for some people starting their second act, especially coming from a corporate background where they just got a paycheck, asking for money up front feels, well, awkward.
It shouldn't. It is standard professional practice. Asking for 1/3 to 1/2 up front is not a sign of mistrust. It's a filter.
A filter?
It weeds out non-serious clients. If a client balks at a 50% deposit, they were going to be a nightmare to collect from later anyway. You want to know that now.
That is a very good reality check. It's a solvency test. And timelines need to be specific too, right?
Yes. Start date, milestone check-ins, final deliverable date. If you leave it vague, you invite delays, you need to drive the bus.
Okay, section 4. We're at the bottom of the page. How do we land the plane?
This is the trigger. Most proposals end with a whimper. They say, let me know if you have questions.
Guilty. I do that all the time. It feels polite.
It is polite, but it doesn't close the deal. You need a specific call to action. The most effective one is shockingly simple. To proceed, reply yes to this email.
Reply yes. That's it. That holds up.
That's it. Think about the friction again. If they have to print it, sign it, scan it, attach it, you've lost them. They'll do it later.
But if all they have to do is hit reply and type yes,
They could do it from the back of the taxi.
it lowers the friction to absolute zero. It makes saying yes easier than saying no.
Exactly.
So that's the document. But I can hear the objection forming in our listeners' minds right now. One page, that's it. What about liability? Is this legally enough? This brings us to insight 3, the shield and the two-step close.
This is the advanced move. This is how you stay safe while keeping it simple. You need a mechanism to prevent that scope creep we talked about.
And that mechanism is?
The key assumptions box. It sits in the very bottom of your one-pager. It looks like a footnote, maybe a slightly smaller font, inside a gray box.
Yeah.
But it acts like a shield.
Okay, so what goes in the box?
The critical constraints.
Yeah.
You put the validity period, say, proposal valid for 14 days. That creates urgency. You list revision limits, like 2 rounds of revisions included. And crucially, the price for additional work.
So if they come back and say, hey, can we just add this one little extra analysis? You don't have to be the bad guy.
Right. You don't have to get emotional. You just point to the box. Happy to do that. As per the proposal, additional work is billed at X dollars per hour. The box does the negotiating for you.
That is smart. Firm, but polite. Now, what about the actual legal side? A lot of people feel like they need a massive contract to be safe.
This is where the two-step close strategy comes in. And it's vital.
Yeah.
You have to separate the sales document from the legal document.
Okay, explain that.
Step 1 is the one-page proposal. The goal of this document is emotional buy-in. It sells the outcome. It gets them to say, yes, I want this solution.
Got it. It's about momentum.
Step 2 happens after they say yes. That's when you send the Master Services Agreement, the MSA. That's your full legal protection.
Oh, wait, doesn't that scare them off? You get them to say yes to a friendly one-pager, and then bam,
Right.
you drop a 10-page contract on them.
Surprisingly, no, because the psychology has shifted. Once they've mentally committed to the project, the contract becomes a formality.
It's just paperwork.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They aren't critiquing your methodology anymore. They're just forwarding it to legal or signing it to get started. You're separating the decision to buy from the process of contracting.
I see. That makes perfect sense. Now, before we wrap up, what about some red flags? What should we look out for?
The biggest red flag is the request for an hourly breakdown. If you send a flat fee for a project, say $25,000, and the client asks, can you break this down by hour? Be very, very careful.
Why? I mean, isn't that a reasonable question?
It implies they're buying your time, not your value. If you're solving a $100,000 problem for them, it shouldn't matter if it takes you 10 hours or 10 weeks.
Right.
If they're fixated on hours, they're treating you like a commodity.
That's a really important distinction. You're selling decades of wisdom, not minutes on a clock. It took you 30 years to learn how to do it in 10 hours.
Precisely. Stick to the flat fee based on value. If they insist on hourly, it might not be the right client for you.
What about bios and case studies? We said don't put them in the proposal.
Yeah, cut them. If they ask, send them separately. But putting a bio in the proposal itself is just reselling yourself at the finish line.
Yeah.
It looks insecure.
It feels like you're trying too hard.
It's clutter. And remember, clarity is what sells.
I want to touch on the tech stack briefly. We mentioned digital signatures.
Yes. Use tools like HelloSign or DocuSign. Again, the goal is to remove friction. Don't make them hunt for a printer.
And are there any exceptions? Times when the one-pager is a bad idea?
Definitely. Government RFPs. Forget everything I just said. That is compliance game.
Right. Don't get cute with the government.
And if it's a massive multi-year project, you obviously can't scope that on one page. But here's the trick. Propose phase 1 only.
Oh, that's smart.
Use the one-pager to sell the discovery phase. Make the yes smaller and easier for them. Ask for $20,000 to do the diagnostic before you ask for $1 million.
So let's bring this all together. We've talked about the psychology of decision fatigue. why 24 jams sell less than 6, we built the 4-section framework: problem, deliverable, investment, and trigger. And we've armed ourselves with the key assumptions shield.
It's a complete system, and it's a system designed to respect the seniority of everyone involved. It signals that you are an expert, not a subordinate.
So here's the challenge for our listeners this week. I want you to create a template. Don't wait for a client. Open up a blank document today.
Build the skeleton, section headers, the key assumptions box at the bottom. Get it ready.
And then test it on your next 3 proposals. Don't overthink it. Just try it.
And track the results.
Yeah.
If you've been struggling to close, or if you feel like you're writing 15 pages for free, this will change your life.
It really does. It's about respecting your own expertise enough to state it simply.
And respecting your client's time enough not to waste it.
Well said. This has been a really tactical deep dive, which I love. It's something people can use immediately.
Absolutely. The goal is to spend less time writing proposals and more time doing the work you love.
Couldn't agree more. That's your executive briefing for this week. If you found value in these insights, share this episode with fellow retirepreneurs and subscribe to the Retirepreneur newsletter at retirepreneur.com. Follow us for weekly strategic insights, and remember, your most successful chapter is just beginning. Until next week, keep building.